And you segued pretty nicely into my next question, which was going to be asking you, why you decided to run for U.S. Senate. But
Right.
since you expanded on that a little bit, let's talk about, your past experiences and why you think that they've catapulted you into a position where you'd be very successful in the Senate.
Right. Well, to me, personal growth has always been a driving force for me. When I was in my 20s, it was all about pursuing a white collar lifestyle, become an architect, buy the house out in the suburbs, marry the right person, pull weeds out of your front yard on Sunday afternoons, all those sorts of things. I was even a Republican in my 20s, right? Then in my 30s, I moved to Boston. My blinders got ripped off. I got to see the world from an entirely different point of view. I went completely the other way, right? Where I was just hippied all to the core. And now in my 50s, I feel like I've come right back dead center. And politically speaking, that's where I believe our country needs to be. And according to most polls, between 40 and 45% of Tennesseans agree with me. So over here, you've got the Republican extremists, which at best count for 25% or 20% of the populace. And over here, you've got the Democratic extremist, which at best represents 20% of the populace. And they're the ones running everything, is the extremist. And nothing gets done. Half of the electorate feels disenfranchised and doesn't even participate. And people like me, for some dumb reason, come up with this idea, well, if nobody else is going to do it, I'll do it, right? Now, I alluded earlier about Marquita, and I just have to make something very clear, and I've told her this. I could never utter a disparaging word about Marquita Bradshaw. In terms of people, she is people. Politically, she leans quite a bit farther left than I personally am comfortable with, right? So I have a number of people who have asked me, well, why don't you just drop out and support Marquita? Like, why? I have just as much right to run as she does. I believe that were you to put she and I on a debate stage, we could speak intelligently and respectfully about where we stand. But I'm here to represent three different groups: the 25% of Republicans who do not support our president, okay, because my issues with DJT have nothing to do with his politics. My issues with DJT are entirely based on his, what I see as subhuman nature. So there's 25% of Tennessee Republicans who agree with me. There's the 40 to 45% of Tennessee voters who are moderates. They don't necessarily swear by one group or the other. They're going to vote for the candidate they feel best represents them because they are politically in the center. Okay, so is Harrison Ford, by the way. So those are the people that I want to represent. Anyone who wants to vote for Marquita, and I have very good friends who are like, well, I'm sorry, I lean more her way. That's fine. These friends also happen to think that Bernie represents the center, but that's a different story. And then the other group that I'm most interested in are the 1.8 million registered Tennessee voters who didn't even vote in 2018, right? So people talk about, oh, Tennessee, it's a red state, and they're not even considering it for the possibility of being flipped. We're not a red state. We're a state where the people who are red are more vocal, and they get out and they yell and they scream and it's like everybody else is, well, okay, I guess, right? We had almost twice as many eligible Tennessee voters who didn't vote in 2016 as voted for Trump. we had more registered Tennessee voters sat home as voted for our current Republican senator, whose name escapes me right now, thank God. So, I mean, those are the people that I'm going for. My friends who want to vote for Marquita, or anyone else who wants to vote for Marquita, that's fine. Now, let me just get back to Haggerty for just 1 second, because from a political standpoint, I'm not going to pretend that he's not more qualified than I am. He's got a law degree. I'm an architect. I have a very logical brain. I can see how things fit together. I can get from point A to point B. He has a law degree, right? He has been the ambassador to Japan, so he has strong political experience. But his entire platform is based on riding Trump's coattails. That's his entire platform, right? So regardless of whatever else the man may be, Republican, decent guy, father, whatever else he may be, he's not the candidate that I would choose, because he has no ground to stand on. And when the Trump cult of personality collapses, which I see it doing rapidly, it's going to take him with it. Man, holy cow. I need a speechwriter.
I think you're doing great. This has been really engaging. And for our last question, we usually just like to ask a fun one.
Please.
I was wondering, for our Nashville audience, if you've been to Nashville, maybe in like a pre-COVID time, where you had any favorite activities or places to go.
There are stories about me in Nashville that I hope don't come out. Some of them may have happened since the cell phone days. A lot of them are before cell phone days. My significant other is an Americana musician. So yes, we love Nashville. Her name is Nancy Apple, by the way. She has a lot